Hey, group leader, thanks so much for click and play. We are in the midst of a series of short videos explaining the new ministry model and the vision going forward, the path forward for communities at Crossroads. And in these videos, what I've been trying to do is anticipate questions that you might have about the new ministry model and try to provide answers so that you can move forward with clarity and with confidence as a group leader. And in the last couple of videos, we've been talking about why there's a need for a new ministry model. We've talked about gathering expectations, and we've also talked about what community groups are going to look like in the future. In this video in particular, I want to talk to you and introduce you to catalyst groups. Now, you hear the term catalyst groups, and that doesn't mean really much to you because you're like, I'm not really sure what that looks like. Well, through this video, I'm hoping I can provide some clarity on that as well so that you can say, hey, that might be something that I'm interested in leading, or it helps me to understand if I'm a community group leader, what we might be sending people into to lead. And so catalyst groups are really great on-ramps for people to be introduced to community life and group life at Crossroads. It might be a great opportunity for someone who's never been a part of a group before and isn't quite ready for a community group. They can get into a catalyst group and they can start seeing what it looks like to study God's word and to pray together and to hold one another accountable. And it gives them kind of a snapshot of what deeper community looks like at Crossroads. And it also gives people an opportunity to jump into a group. Maybe they only have one semester to give. They can't commit to an ongoing community group for multiple semesters, but they're interested in a particular study that maybe we are providing through catalyst groups. It's a great way for them to get more of God's word, to grow in their discipleship, and to make some, even if it's just for one semester, to make some relationships that encourage them in their faith and challenge them. And so, it's for people that maybe aren't yet in a community group, but are looking for one. And it's for people that just need a little bit more flexibility in their calendar from one semester to the next. So I want to answer just a couple of questions in this video about catalyst groups in particular. So maybe one question might be, what is the difference between a community group and a catalyst group? Well, for a leader, the difference is that when you lead a catalyst group, there's no 2-semester commitment that we're asking or requiring like we are with community group leaders. We understand that catalyst groups, the content or the curriculum of study is going to change from one semester to the next. And there are going to be people that jump into certain catalyst groups based on the night of the week and their own availability and location. Maybe the people that get into these catalyst groups are not quite as committed as people that get into community groups. And so maybe one semester is all they can give. And so for catalyst groups, we're not going to ask for a 2-semester commitment. So if you're a leader and you like to lead like once a year, this might be a great opportunity for you to jump into leadership into a catalyst group. So if a catalyst group leader wants to lead a catalyst group for multiple semesters, certainly they can. And we encourage that. But if you're that type of person that's like, hey, I can only lead in the fall or I can only lead in the spring, but I want to contribute, I want to minister, I want to help create disciples, this is a great group type for you to be able to participate in that way. Also, a catalyst group has a designated curriculum that our communities team has chosen. It's going to change every semester, but we're going to do our very best as pastors overseeing this department to prepare and to give you study guides and discussion guides and to make it as easy as possible for you as a catalyst group leader to lead, maybe even with little preparation. And we get a taste of what catalyst groups are going to look like when we did Keys to Freedom. Keys to Freedom was an all-church discipleship journey or an all-church campaign. All of our catalyst groups will go through the same content just like our group leaders went through Keys to Freedom. Now, every semester will not be Keys to Freedom. Like, for example, in the fall, we're going to go through a series on the book of Colossians. And the series that we are developing within our team is going to follow along with a sermon series that our pastors are going to be preaching through. And so it's going to feel like every one of our Catalyst groups are going through kind of a mini church-wide campaign together. So that will feel somewhat familiar. But there's a lot of advantages to being a Catalyst group leader. The next question might be this: what is the advantage of leading a Catalyst group? Well, we talked about this just a little bit earlier. There's flexibility for those who want to lead a group, but maybe can't lead multiple semesters in a row. There's also, we can see Catalyst groups potentially turning into community groups. Maybe someone starts a Catalyst group and they love the culture that they've built. They love the relationships that they have found within that group. That group has the liberty, the freedom to say, hey, we want to stay together. And that's what we want to see. And so there's a possibility that your Catalyst group that you lead could just decide, hey, you know what? Let's keep this thing going into next semester and beyond. Let's just turn into a regular community group. And there might be a chance that a Catalyst group might turn into multiple community groups at the end of that semester. Also, another advantage of leading a Catalyst group is that, again, we're providing the content and the curriculum for you. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to lead and to focus on hospitality and, leading good discussions and praying for people and creating environments where people feel like they can grow in their discipleship. And so you can focus on the giftings that God has given you, and we'll focus on kind of creating that content and those discussion guides for you. And then the last question, just for this video in particular, is can I start a new Catalyst group, or can I turn my previous class into a Catalyst group? And the answer to those questions are yes. If you're interested in starting a Catalyst group and you just want to gather people and provide a space for those who are not yet in community groups to get into a group, certainly fill out the form, the group leader form for Catalyst group leaders that we're going to be sending out, or maybe you've already received. And if you have led a class in the past and you think that maybe a Catalyst group might be the route for you going forward, fill out that group leader application as well. We'd love to have you. All we're asking is that those who lead Catalyst groups do live up to those group gathering expectations that we laid out in the very first video. So if you don't yet know what those gathering expectations are for Catalyst groups, make sure you go back and watch the first video where I explained all of that in a little bit more depth. And so looking forward to maybe you considering being a Catalyst group leader in the coming semester. Thanks so much for click and play. Check back again for yet another video answering questions that you may have about communities moving forward at Crossroads.